Hello everyone and welcome to another video insight interview, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Barton Hodges, Director of Media and Technology Services at Duet Media. How are you, Paul?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, all good.
I thought maybe you could just give us a little bit of background about you, really. Who are you? What's your sort of experience in the events industry? And tell us a little bit about Duet Media.
Sure. So my experience has sort of been varied and a very mixed over my career, which spans sort of lecturing and teaching in media production initially, and then that obviously included a lot of event production as part of that role. And then most recent chapter, obviously, with the Duet Group, running sort of broadcast and event services for a wide range of clients, really, from education and corporate and performing arts and all sorts, really. So yeah, very varied. My own personal background is as a musician, so I'm coming from that side of things. But very much the technical side. I was always wanted to be behind the microphones, behind the cameras, more than perhaps being on stage. So that kind of led me in the direction I've followed.
You said you're a musician. Did you play an instrument? Are you a singer?
Yeah, I studied viola and singing actually at the Royal College of Music. So that was my background.
Oh, well, we're not going to ask you to sing anything for us, so don't worry. We'll stick to the matter at hand. Okay, so let's just let's talk shop then. I mean, do you think the way the pandemic has sort of unfolded has sort of forced a shift for everyone to kind of really take this online and hybrid event format more seriously? I mean, do you think we were going that way anyway, and the pandemic just brought it forward?
I think we were shifting that way, but very slowly. Obviously, it's accelerated sort of digital transformation in every area of business, really, whether it's just our day-to-day working life and right through, obviously, to how we host and sort of connect with people through events. So, yeah, I think it definitely was a catalyst to speeding that up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I mean, we've certainly seen a huge uptake. Lots of other agencies reporting, a huge drive for digital. I think really is going to probably hang around for the long term. It's going to become a core part of, any business's engagement strategies going forward. For that, there's no doubt. Now, you and I caught up very briefly at the end of 2020. And I think at that time, you were telling me that you'd been absolutely run off your feet. You'd done something like 80 days worth of events or something in 2020. I mean, it's been a pretty busy ride for you, hasn't it?
It has. Well, last March felt absolutely silent, as it did for everybody. And then probably May, June time, things started to pick up again. We became involved with a number of events where people were sort of experimenting with how they could take the format online. And from that, really, we saw a real explosion, probably from September onwards. And people realized they had to get on with it. They had, there was an initial wave of people just sort of getting something happening online, and then that sort of developed, and people started to sort of up their game, really, in terms of how they were presenting and connecting with their audience. And then at the end of the year, we had the usual sort of events and awards and all that kind of stuff that were being done online as well. So that certainly kept us busy right through until Christmas.
It's great. It's great to hear, some of the success stories that have come out of this. It really is. But let's kind of then think about the quality of product, because I remember, back in March last year when this kicked off, everyone just jumped online and we were all on Zoom and we're just kind of all sitting with our heads down at the bottom of the screen or off into one little corner and all that. And let's just say the quality control ombudsman wasn't really, giving it his best. Client expectation of quality really is increasing. I mean, how important is it to have the right equipment to be able to deliver a proper online experience?
Oh, it's getting more and more important. I mean, it's interesting, actually, the number of still quite big organisers still piling everybody into Zoom or Teams, and they wonder why it's not a satisfying experience to have 300-400 people all in the same meeting and you can't see anybody. So it's really important to sort of be able to sort of turn that webinar sort of experience into something that's more broadcast focused in terms of your keynote speeches and presentations, and the events platforms as well. They've really sort of developed in terms of how people can interact through networking, Q&A, polling, all of that kind of stuff. The whole solution, whole package has become much more sophisticated in a very, very short time. And so for us, it's been a case of sort of keeping up with what the platforms have been doing so we can integrate in the best way possible with them, and obviously just making sure we're providing the best service we can to on the actual broadcast side as well. So yeah, it's been a constant learning game.
Yeah, I love it how Zoom has sort of become the catch-all terminology, like Hoover. It's like they're not Hoovers. Hoover was the brand; it's a vacuum cleaner, but we're just using Zoom as a catch-all term for, all these online events and meetings and so on. Other products are available, of course. But people have got used to Zoom. I mean, is it enough? I mean, how do you sort of ensure the quality from your speakers and guests get a good experience too? Because it really is about actually involving everyone and getting people to actually engage with the event, not just sitting there staring into a screen wishing the hours away.
Yeah, I mean, I think splitting the two sides between the speakers and the attendees, obviously the attendees have that platform experience, and so that's become much more detailed and sort of advanced. But from the speaker point of view, there's actually something to be said for the familiar as well, because when you're presenting, even more so in this sort of digital world, it's unfamiliar. It's not, you don't have that kind of comfort of standing on a stage with your slides, which people have done huge amounts of. They're now having to factor in the technology as well. So it's actually, we found it's been advantageous to use a system that they're familiar with, whether that's Zoom or Teams, probably the two main ones. That puts them at ease. And then obviously you get the best content, and the content is what's important for the success of the event. If we start to ask people to use weird and wonderful new ways of connecting into broadcast systems, there might be technological advantages, but it puts them on the back foot. So we have to weigh that up. Sometimes it's right, but a lot of the time, actually, familiarity for the speaker is what we've leaned towards.
Yeah. And, let's talk about, event organizers. A lot of them are faced with, a marketplace packed full of, products. And, it's very, very often they're not going to know where to turn, where to look and so on. I've always seen it as, a collaborative relationship. You've got to have some sort of partnership, I guess, with a technical firm to deliver the right experience. I mean, so what key questions should I be asking of a technical partner? I might be bound by cost, but I don't want to do it on the cheap. How should I approach the conversation with someone like you?
Yeah, but I think the word partnership is key, and obviously that's what we try and emphasise with Duet. I mean, there's a musical connotation to that, but actually the Duet is actually very much between our clients and ourselves, and I think that's important with any relationship. I think the kind of questions should be: is the events organizer right for your event? Every event has its own sort of personality. Is it aimed at a particular audience? Does your partner have experience in connecting with that audience? I mean, for us, we say we work a lot in the performing arts sector as well. So obviously we have that background. We understand the musicians, we understand the drama, we understand that kind of thing. So we can interpret that event perhaps in a different way to a company that specialises in sort of maybe financial events or whatever. So I think that's important, getting the right team together. It's not just about the technology and getting it onto the screen. It's sort of understanding and getting the event, and I suppose it's even more important when it's being delivered in this way. You can't let your speakers on stage carry it. It's got to be put across in a way that's sympathetic to your kind of ethos, really.
Yeah, I suppose last thing really is, I think, quality control is really important. Amateur hour just isn't going to be forgiven by an audience anymore, is it?
No, absolutely. And one of the things we've tried to sort of address with the speakers is actually getting that quality of the feed from them to us, because obviously any system is only as good as its weakest link, and then very often that's the webcam on the laptop or whatever your speaker's using. So whatever we can do to improve that, whether it's a bit of lighting, whether it's elevating the camera, whether it's using an external camera in some cases, we work with people, and we give thorough technical briefings as well to all of our speakers, so that we taught them through our recommendations, and hopefully they take that forward. We can give a good event.
Great stuff. We'll pop this in the description of the video, folks. But Paul, would you want to tell people how they can learn more about Duet Media?
Sure. So obviously, first place would be our website. So that's duetmedia.co.uk. All our contact details are on there. You can find me on LinkedIn if you've got any direct questions. If you wanted to sort of fire any off to me, I'm always happy to answer those. But yeah, give us a call, drop us an email, and we're very happy to advise and discuss. With no obligation. It's all about that kind of discussion to make things happen. Get things moving. So yeah, get in touch.
Well, it sounds like your diary's quite packed. So Paul, I'm going to let you crack on. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you very much indeed. Cheers.